What do we need? Okay, so my research question is, how do different cultures deal with depression around the Michigan State University campus? Could you tell my professor your ethnicity?
Caucasian.
Okay. Question number 1. When you're depressed, are you quick to shut people out, or do you try to remain social with your friends? And why?
I'm not depressed that often. During my sophomore year, I had a stint where I was pretty down in the dumps, and I kept in my room most of the time. So yeah, I kept to myself. I don't know if it was just that I didn't feel good enough for my friends at the time, but being a man in the society and being raised to be manly, pride is a big issue, and so I wanted to deal with it myself. You know, I've been raised to fix my own problems, you know, so I tried to deal with it on my own, which didn't really work that well. But I was fortunate enough to have some very, very patient friends, understanding friends who helped me through a rough time. But to start off that period where I was very depressed, I stayed in my room and I didn't go out and do things that I normally would do. I didn't do things that made me happy. Because even if I felt happy for a moment, I still knew that at the end of the day, I had that depressed, sad feeling to deal with before I went to bed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So why would I want to be happy when I know it's only going to last until I have to face the music again at the end of the day? You know what I mean? So luckily that doesn't happen very often, but yeah. So to answer your question, yes, I do keep to myself sometimes. Yeah.
How did depression affect your social abilities, if it did at all?
Well, I consider myself a very outgoing, good communicator, and I didn't really talk about it that much. To share some personal stuff, I went through a huge faith crisis, and I didn't really want to talk to my parents because the only advice they had was, well, just pray about it, or go talk to the priest or something, and that wasn't what I needed to hear at the time, because I was thinking about not praying anymore. You know what I mean? So praying about it isn't going to solve anything.
Right.
So I felt like I couldn't really talk to my parents, who I thought I should be able to talk to about anything. So yeah, I kind of retreated into myself, and I just kind of had a dialogue with myself and not really anyone else, because no one really seemed to tell me what I wanted to hear at the time, or what I thought I needed to hear. So.
Okay. Did you find yourself becoming less interested in activities that you once found interesting?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think I kind of touched on that in the first question.
Yeah.
It would almost just be a nice kind of a way to escape, which is healthy, but again, I couldn't enjoy it to my fullest extent because I knew when it was over, I'd still have that crummy feeling to deal with, and that's not going to go away from going to play hockey for an hour. So.
How were your sleeping habits? Did you sleep more or less?
I'd say about the same. I'm not a good sleeper to begin with. I'm a very light sleeper. So I guess maybe I think I stayed up later thinking about things more than I usually do. So in a way, I guess I slept less, not because I had more trouble sleeping, but just because I was constantly trying to figure my stuff out.
When you're depressed, do you find yourself easily irritated?
Yeah, I guess I do. I think sometimes when we're depressed, we're a ticking time bomb. Someone does something that's really not that big of a deal that we normally wouldn't find annoying, and it is, when we're upset about something. So yeah, I would say so. I think you're more willing to, when you have a serious problem, to make it someone else's, or to say someone else is a part of that problem. So yeah, I would agree with that, yeah.
Were you restless?
Yeah, because I like having all the answers. I like knowing everything, what's going on, or at least thinking I do. So when I felt like I wasn't in a position of control, or didn't have a way to resolve my issue, I was extremely restless, because, like I said, I was staying up really late, doing like research on things, trying to figure things out, and like no answer seemed to be good enough, because I had to learn to be comfortable with not knowing, and I've never been able to do that in my life until then. So I was very restless, actually. Yeah.
Do you think you let your emotions show when you're depressed?
Only to those who I'm willing to talk to it about. I can keep a pretty straight face and make it seem like I have it together around people that I don't want to share that with. But I can be vulnerable with those who matter, who I care about.
What do you do to try to overcome your struggles when you're depressed?
Well, now, since then, I guess I have more confidence in myself to pull myself out of the situation because I've done it once before. Like, I attribute myself coming out of that faith crisis episode to myself, to my own abilities. And so I'm okay now with just talking to myself, and I don't look at it as like I have too much pride to talk to someone. I guess I just look at it as like, I understand me better than anyone else does. And if that's how I solve it, then so be it. Yeah.
Did you find yourself eating more, eating less, or not eating at all when you're depressed?
I guess maybe a little bit more. I guess it's one of those ways to kind of get your mind off of it. And you look for any excuse to be hungry, So, and on this campus, 99 meals a week,
Did you feel isolated from everyone?
Only because I chose to be. So I don't think that I just naturally felt like they don't want me around. My friends don't understand what I'm going through, so they're trying to like avoid me. I didn't feel that way at all. Like, they were very sensitive to pick up like something's up with him. But I isolated myself.
Did you feel trapped, yet you really wanted help?
Yeah, I did. Like I said, I really wanted to know these answers that just don't have answers. And that killed me. Like, that was so hard for me to deal with. And I wanted help, but I also think because I'm so used to having all the answers, I didn't want to take the necessary time to work out those problems. I just wanted to know now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Have you ever felt suicidal when depressed?
Never.
Okay. What feelings do you have when you're depressed? Hopeless, trapped, isolated, alone?
I would say a little bit of hopelessness. I think, I guess, just looking around, the state of the world today, there's so much bad stuff going on, and it's like, I think hopeless is a good way to describe that. It's just like race relations, for example, seem worse than they've ever been. It's 2015, for crying out loud, and like, there's countries that at any second could push a button to blow up another country, and what's stopping them from doing that? I feel hopeless about, I guess, a lot of things, because I'm just one person, and what can I do? I think out of all of the ones that you picked, hopelessness is the biggest one, because I feel like I can be such an optimistic person, but when you turn on the news every day and see what's going on, it's so hard to deal with it on your own,
Yeah.
And it's so hard to find like-minded people who are willing to do anything about it. It's like everyone feels the way I feel, it seems. I can't do anything. So then no one does. And like, that sucks.
How many times do you think you've been depressed in your life?
That's a good question. I would say a handful, 4 or 5.
And what was the cause of your depression?
So the faith crisis my sophomore year, which lasted probably about a good year at least, was the biggest. As you know, I graduated last May. I'd say about 6 months up until my graduation, when I realized I wanted nothing to do with my major, I kind of freaked out because I don't know what the hell I was going to do with my life. So you can talk to my parents about that. That was a pretty trying time for me because I didn't know what I was going to do. I was fortunate enough to get into grad school, but I chose not to go to get more work experience. And so I think that time frame of wondering what's next in this whole year has kind of been a what comes next kind of thing. So from time to time, I'm still a little bit depressed because I still don't know what's next. And like I said, I like knowing what's going on and what's next. I like having the answers, and I have no freaking clue. So